Did you want to take the screen down, James? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Three Nations Dementia Working Group webinar. And we're all very happy to be with you here this morning, and we hope you're well and you're fit and well wherever you are. My name is Nigel. I'm chair of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group. And this morning's theme for the webinar is involvement. Now, involvement creates a sense of solidarity and builds confidence and self-esteem with people with dementia. It also ensures that you are not spending money on services that are not right or not what people want, and enables people to give back to leave a legacy. Involvement can use people's skills, experience, and unique expertise from the lived experience. Seeing and hearing real people can challenge stereotypes. It's more than a buzzword. When it actually happens, the feelings to both the people involved and the services themselves are transformative. And we're going to examine that today with a panel. I will introduce themselves as we go along. I just want to remind you that these webinars rely on you. We need your comments, responses, and questions via the text boxes, which you'll find at the bottom of the screen. Please use the text boxes to ask questions. If you raise your hand, we won't be able to see it. It's not that kind of webinar. I'll monitor the text boxes as best I can, and we'll try and respond to everybody as we go along. We can't deal with individual queries, but we can signpost via the text boxes where the individual queries may be dealt with. Well, that's enough from me. And what I'd like to do now is introduce the first member of our panel, who is known to many of you, Joy Watson. Good morning, Joy.
Morning, everyone.
Joy lives with dementia in the sunny climates of Salford. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Nigel. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm pleased that you've come on board this morning and you haven't been rained out. Yeah, I'm focusing on co-production and co-design, which is all part of the involvement that the society is getting off the ground. So co-production and co-design are phrases that are being used regularly at the present time. Some people, including myself, didn't have a clue what these words really meant. So it helps me to look at these phrases on a more personal level. People with lived experience being invited to play a major role in what the society is doing. Invited being the optimum word. We shouldn't have to go in search of projects to get involved with. I consider myself fortunate to have partnered with several teams. It was good to bring my experiences to the table. I must say, it's important to be invited onto a project at the very beginning, not when it's half done. The projects I've been involved in have been projects I felt comfortable with, and having the choice to withdraw at any time gives me the confidence I need. The event that sits high on my list and was probably the most fun was the 2023 Alzheimer's Conference, both in the planning and the taking part. It was exciting getting to know everyone, team leaders and people with lived experience. We were all asked what we felt the task ahead was and how we could work together to shape the event. Co-production isn't about individuals doing their own thing. It's more about working together. We all had ideas for the conference. Some were used and others were left on the shelf for another occasion. The final event went really well. We organised 2 panel sessions, I was involved in a session depicting hope and dementia. We felt it would be good to present something a bit different. So we had visual elements, as well as people telling their stories. Some of our ideas were off the wall, but it was encouraging to know our ideas were listened to and that we could feel included in all the planning as well as the execution. So far, my experience of involvement has been positive. Yes, we've got a lot to learn, but if we all learn together, we can crack it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Joy. I was on that conference planning team with you, and you mirror everything that I felt. When you actually saw it happen in front of your eyes, how did you feel?
I suppose the biggest feeling was valued, that living with dementia can knock your confidence no end. So being part of an important conference like that just made me feel valued and that I still had something to contribute.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way that the society handed part of the responsibility or shared part of that responsibility with us I found was quite empowering. I don't know if you did.
Exactly, yeah. We weren't just on the sidelines, we were involved.
Yes, yeah. Well, thank you, Joy. I'm sure there'll be some questions coming through later on. My next panelist is Cam, but I don't know where he's gone. Cam, you still there?
I think Cam's had some technical issues.
Oh, okay, all right. Then I wonder if we could ask Kerry to step in the breach. I'll introduce Kerry Higgins. She's my partner in crime in a lot of things that we do in Wales. I know how hard she works, and I know that this is 30 years of experience of working with people with dementia, either in the family or in the general public, that Kerry brings to this. Good morning, Kerry. Bore da.
Morning, bore da, everyone. Great to be here. And yeah, just to thank Nigel for the kind words. And just to kind of reiterate that I'm an unpaid carer. So I've been an unpaid carer for around 30 years, caring for family, friends, neighbours living with dementia. So you know, what I'm going to share isn't just about me being involved in things. It's about me supporting people to have their voices heard as well, which is really important. So it literally started about probably about 20 odd years ago, when there was no such thing as involvement, no such word, co-production. Technically, I was classed as just sticking my nose in, and I was quite happy to run with that, because I've got a life philosophy that it's my life, my right, my voice. And I was brought up that way, that, you know, from very community sort of spirited family. But I wanted to kind of sort of carry on from what Joyce brilliantly shared with us there, around put a bit of context into it, because what I have observed over the last 20 plus years is that, you know, we still equally as confused about what is an involvement, and that can differ from one nation to the other. So just to put it a bit into sort of context, really. So for me, involvement is the overarching, in the same way we use the umbrella in the dementia context. So involvement is the over sort of arching context. And then underneath that, then through co-production, and I know there's lots of confusion kind of around that, through co-production, because that's not just a term about being involved, it's about culture and about, you know, equality and all those things. So through that co-production embedded in all of our culture, then we look at sort of engagement, we look at further involvement, be it, you know, consultation or whichever. But for me, it has to come in a specific order, because it's a huge responsibility to share your experiences to influence or co-design something. So for me, the word, though we don't always use it, co-production, gives me reassurance that I'm treated like an equal. It's not always the case, but that's the intention of the word, is that I'm treated as an equal. And when I'm sat around the table with professionals, that actually we all bring our expertise to the conversation. And rightly so, as you said, Joy, about there's something empowering about being involved from even before the planting of the seed, because ultimately it's ensuring that we're going to get the best information, the best knowledge, and involvement comes with the well-being tag. We've heard about how empowering it is, but we don't often hear about the financial benefits. Now you may say, how are there financial benefits? But ultimately, if we as professionals are supporting people or providing services, we need to get them right, because a service that isn't really person-centered is just making assumptions. So there are huge, well-being. It's about empowering, that increases health and well-being. So that's my bit of a sort of a slant on the benefits of sort of involvement. So I'm just going to share a couple of things I've been involved with co-productively. And when I say that, I mean, I don't commit to anything that I don't think. If I don't feel that I'm an equal around the table, then I no longer sit at the table and I move along. So in Wales, just to give a bit of context, nation context, there's an obligation on us to co-produce. Co-production is expected because of different acts and policies that are in place. So it's really important. It's almost mandatory that we have to co-produce. We're still not getting it right, but I just want to share a couple of examples of where we are getting it right. So we have a set of dementia pathways that was launched last year by Welsh Government, and myself and another colleague on the call, and many other people with lived experience, co-produced excuse me, the pathway standards. So that seems kind of broad, doesn't it? But ultimately, when I say co-produced, what people needed from services, what people needed from a diagnosis, what people's expectations were acknowledged, and from that seed was planted, from that grew the pathway. So we didn't just stop there. It wasn't thank you very much for your views and off we go. When it came to individual deciding on the individual parts of the pathway, there were lived experience on every single conversation at every table. And one great example I'm going to use is we have a hospital charter, dementia friendly hospital charter, that was meaningfully co-produced. And I can assure you there were times during that conversation where either my hand or Nigel, the chair's hand, raised up and said, no, we don't agree with that, we need to start again. And I can assure you that happened every time. So we've now got a meaningful document, and it didn't stop there, because to ensure the co-production continued, people with lived experience were then going out to inspect settings, memory assessment clinics, hospitals, other places, to ensure that that was being embedded and actually happening where it should be happening. And we didn't stop there. No, we did kind of stop there, but ultimately, the important thing is that it's great to be involved. And I've reviewed, even for the organisation, I've reviewed lots of documents, but actually it's about me saying, don't send me a document to read to see if I like it. I want to write that document with you, because actually the person living with dementia is the expert. and that information needs to be relevant. So that's just a quick sort of whistle stop tour of just to finish with saying that involvement is about including people, but co-production is about changing the culture, be it your own culture and organizational culture, to say, you know, we should not look, consider, develop anything without it being co-produced. So I'm going to leave that there, but how great to you know, to be involved. And I think the translation or the definition from the dictionary is for involvement is something like moral obligation, which is really interesting. So thank you very much for the invite, and great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Kerry. I know most of what you're talking about because I've been by your side when this stuff has been done. And you can't play at this. Either you involve or you don't. And I remember those meetings about the hospital charter. It was due to be published, and we said, this is not diverse enough. So it took 2 months longer to get the hospital charter in front of the Welsh Government. But I think what it meant was that we were certain that the document was as we wanted it. And the same with the dementia standards when it came to things like education and training. We've been strong opponents to most of the stuff that's come out there. I guess I'll ask you one question, Kerry. We know that PPI engagement or involvement is not unique. What makes it unique for you?
I think for me, it's about feeling equal, but not being a tick box. I don't want to be in a box. I'm labeled enough throughout life. So it's about not putting people back into boxes or labels. It's about just recognizing individuality and expertise, really, whatever that is.
Thank you, Kerry. You can hang about. I'm sure we'll be back to you. We got some messages in the text boxes here. Steve Kennedy. If the people who are doing the research projects truly want a genuine and correct answer for their projects, then they simply have to invite people living with dementia on a daily basis to give their views. As we all know, in this day and age, constructive research can be done via a stealthier via face-to-face or via web, based on programs such as Zoom, i.e. for the election of meetings. And yeah, that's true. There's no excuse for not engaging with people anymore with the way that we've all got used to kind of using technology to get over with. Lots of love for both of you and Joy. Well done, Kerry, from Jane Platts. There's a lady saying thank you, Joy, for your contribution. We've got a change to our program due to, or our presenters, I should say, due to technical difficulties of Camp. Then we got Masood Qureshi, who stepped in at the last minute to be Cam. So, good morning to you, Masood.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
And thank you so much for stepping in at such short notice. And welcome to you. Masood lives with dementia in Stoke. Is it Stoke? Yes, Stoke. And he has a particular view of engagement and involvement. So over to you.
Thank you very much. With everything else is doing, I'm a proud member of Three Nations Dementia Working Group as well, on the steering group. Thank you very much for letting me in. Yeah, I've been living with the diagnosis for quite some time, and being from South Asian community, I have had quite a lot of involvement within the community, and I'm trying to do my bit to educate people onto the make awareness of the disease. You know, in many of the South Asian languages, there isn't a word for dementia. And therefore, it's quite often confused with either old age or mental illness. And because of that, it's difficult to actually penetrate the South Asian community and make the awareness as much as we'd like to. At the same time, it's difficult to come out and speak about this anyway because of all the stigma attached to it. You know, nobody really wants to admit the fact that they've got a condition that's not curable, or there's no to-date medication for it, and there's only one end result. So it is difficult to talk about it. Having said that, I have been involved with different organizations: Alzheimer's Society, Approach, Deep, Young Dementia UK, Three Nations, Beth Johnson's Foundation. Locally, we started a peer sport group, and I am the founder member of that. And, you know, I felt that peer sport has been the backbone to the recovery of people with dementia. And this is what has really helped me to gain my confidence, because the first thing that's hit when you diagnose is your confidence. Of course, finances and all the rest of it matters. And you know, when one person is diagnosed with dementia, the whole family is diagnosed with dementia. So everybody within the family is affected. And there are times when you feel that the family have forgotten that you've got an illness because of their own problems. So therefore, most important thing is being amongst the people, being amongst people that you can trust and care, and then open up about it, talk about it, socialize, you know, get involved with different organizations. We did a project with the innovations in dementia, and it went as far as that we actually won a Dementia Heroes Award through that. So I think it's nice that people with dementia are coming out and talking about things, getting involved, and maybe educating people. Nigel.
Sorry, Mac.
Yeah.
You're done, yeah?
Yeah.
I've got one question for you, Mac. Coming from what's laughingly called a diverse community, do you think that the right people are engaging with you?
I think that with different communities, you have faith, you have culture, you have custom, and then you have the language. All these things have a bearing on dementia pathways. And to get the right person who is well conversed with all that is virtually impossible. But I think what needs to be done is that whoever is involved and whoever's trying to do something should be at least pretty well genned up on the faith and custom side of it, as well as the language.
Yeah. Do you think our services are culturally competent?
I think we're doing the best we can, actually. You know, getting the likes of me involved shows that diversity and inclusions are taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, they won't become culturally competent unless we engage with people, will it?
That's right. The people with the condition need to be involved. They need to be acknowledged. They need to be appreciated, and their efforts need to be recognized.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I'm sure we come back to you later on. There's little things in the chat box which a couple of things in the chat box which is very, very complimentary to all of the speakers we've had now. So I think the next speaker, who is Stan Limbert from Liverpool, one of the Chuckle brothers. Not in real terms, but Stan, I know you work hard on engagement, involvement with everybody. You run so many things in your area. I just want to ask you that to give us a brief overview, or in depth as you wish, of your involvement with in your local area with the services that are in Liverpool. Good morning, Stan. Over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Right, I'm Stan, as Nigel says. I've had the early onset of Alzheimer's since 2014. Mac has stole a little bit of my thunder in as much as my involvement and engagement, if you want to put it that way, is basically with peer support. I don't think you can get any better than what is provided, like with the Three Nations. You know, of the 109 varieties of dementia, we all walk basically the same path. Some of those paths are quite smooth, some a little bit bumpy, some of it got offshoots, some of them are like going on the magical mystery tour. But you can get a lot of support from your peers. For me, I've been involved with the group here in Liverpool who named us, Roy and myself, the Chuckle Brothers. That was formed on the start of the pandemic. And we started doing daily Zooms twice a day for not just people with dementia, but with the carers. That ran very well. In fact, some of them were too well. We were finishing at 2 o'clock in the morning. We even had a member of the NHS come on one on Christmas Day in the midst of a cooking a Christmas dinner to give a little update on what she was doing. Up here in the north, members of the Three Nations can verify, Roy and I banged the drum on what is provided by the NHS up here, namely Mossley Hospital, which is now Lee Moss. We're very fortunate in the services we get. We are allowed to participate as people in our own right, and we have a say in what takes place. Another offshoot I do, I joined Dementia Research, and that means I can be selective in what topics I follow. It's been very rewarding in what I've done, i.e., besides getting involved with researchers or people doing the PhD, I've made a lot of new friends. I've also, believe it or not, gained a PhD and an MSc inadvertently given to me by a journal in America who insisted I wrote a paper on yoga and the demented. Well, speaks for itself. Anyway, it took me a while to get through to him. I couldn't do the paper because I wasn't qualified. He insisted, go, you can do it. No, I can't. I said, if you've got a situation over in America where your education and equivalent to our 11 plus, I said, I am basically 11 plus failed. But by the dint of the people I've done the research with in Joint Dementia Research and other peers, I am an expert by experience. Again, this leads me on to peer support. Nobody knows better than those of us that live with dementia. I think a few people have said on the Three Nations, you can't get a grasp of what's involved with dementia until you've lived it, until you've stood in our shoes. Besides the dementia, the other aspects come into our lives. It's comorbidity. I've got cancer. I'm partially sighted now, hence the sunshades. But it all throws dementia into a totally new perspective. We live the life, and the more I can promote that life, Roy and I do post-diagnostic groups as part of our involvement with the NHS, and quite often we get mentioned to us at the end of the session that we do, which is the 7th week of the group. They've learnt more from us in the last hour than they have done all 6-7 weeks on the course, purely and simply because we live with it. We can answer some of the questions that got. Other people can't do that. Unless you live with the damn thing, you cannot give a positive answer. We start our sessions by saying, we are proof that there is life after diagnosis. It's not the end of the world. You can lead a constructive life, and that is done by peer support. I've got a lot of support from the members of the Three Nations, even though they do skits about Liverpool, and Nigel stressed the fact that I'm from Liverpool. I'm not from Liverpool. I'm actually from Manchester. I emigrated 30 miles down the road in 1957. But I've still retained my accent, so no, I'm not a Scouser. Roy's the Scouser amongst us. All I can say is if anybody has got any questions, please ask them via Nigel and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. I mean, he kind of underplays it a bit, and Roy, will put your hand up, Roy, if I'm speaking the truth. He's remarkable. One of the most remarkable men I've met, and it's an honour and a pleasure to meet you, Stan. And the insights that you bring to this group is stunning. There is a question, and it's from Rupi Kar, and it says, "Thank you, Masuda Stanley, for your insights. So valuable. This recording should be available to everyone on Arena, so other colleagues can see lived experience." Arena, what's Arena? Anybody know what Arena is? Is it the Alzheimer's Society intranet? Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be the recording of the webinar today will be available on the internet for Alzheimer's Society staff and volunteers, but it'll also be on the Three Nations Dementia Working Group website.
Excellent. Thank you, James. So there's the answer to that. Now, Keith has arrived again. Hello, Keith. Good morning to you.
Again. Yeah, sorry, the internet went down.
Internet went down. Well, just for that, then I go straight to you now, and to ask you your experiences of engagement and involvement and how it's made you feel. Good morning again, Keith.
Right, thank you. Yeah, morning. My name's Keith. A lot of people call me Cam. The thing is, I'll tell you roughly. I was diagnosed with dementia about 7 years ago. And at that particular time, I knew nothing about it at all. I was totally lost. I thought things in my life had come to an end. Fortunately, I was able to get in touch with support groups, such as like the Three Nations, Alzheimer's, and such as. And ever since then, I've just gone on and on. At the moment now, I've been invited. I actually I'm in touch with KMPT as an ambassador. So I go to all the living well with dementia courses. I've done a lot of work with the Alzheimer's. Last year, I went up to the conference, and we took part in the conference. We did a stall, and that was good. And then on the Wednesday, I was asked if I would like to go to the House of Commons and start to talk to the MPs, which was absolutely fantastic. I've done so much, with Alzheimer's and that. I've done a lot of recruiting and everything. And every time you do this, the sensation that I get from it is satisfaction myself. I feel worthy to do something, and it's great to have the opportunity to do this with such as the Alzheimer's and the Three Nations and that. In fact, tomorrow I'm doing a thing with Alzheimer's. It's apparently there's a lot of it's black intakes, and we're going in to talk to them tomorrow for about they want to do their own the groups and such as, and how important it is for them to include people with dementia. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah, I think all I can say, I think as we're included, right, people get to know the I suppose from the horse's mouth about what it's like living with dementia, and and I think it's it's great for us and for everyone else as well. As I say, to me, it just what I call it. It's it makes it gives us. I mean, for myself, it's given me a lot of self-esteem and self-worth, and I wouldn't be without it. So that's just a little bit of what I also I do with work with the KMPT as an envoy and everything. Dementia Voices, Three Nations, Deep. I do with all of them, and it's great that they give us the opportunity for us to just to speak, and hopefully that we'll be able to educate people about dementia. To say that we are still the same people, and life does go on after a diagnosis, right? And we're quite capable of doing this, these things, to do all these things. So that's about it for me.
Thank you, Keith. I've known you for quite a while now, and I've seen the impact that engagement has on you as a person, if you don't mind me saying. It's made you more confident. It's made you really value yourself for what you have to say.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea of something like the Three Nations and the Saturday Sunday groups and everything else that goes with it. It's this platform that people have, because once you're diagnosed, you can be treated like for want of a better word, a medieval leper, can't you? I mean,
Yeah.
Often shunned. You have no value. I mean, I call it prescribed disengagement. In other words, you're advised to stop work and hand in your driving license and put your affairs in order. And this is not a unique message. I think that people with a diagnosis get. I think the vast majority of us get that from my experience of talking to people.
I think a lot of it as well. I mean, like when I first got my diagnosis, as I say, I knew nothing about dementia, only what Dr. Hearsay, and to me, I had this picture of an old person wrapped up in a blanket, dribbling, looking out the window, and this was the thing that a lot of with the world looks at, we're incapable of anything, right? In actual fact, it's the opposite.
Yes.
We are quite capable. We're still the same person. Yeah, we might be a little bit slower doing something, but we're still there, and we're quite capable of doing things like these. Well, like these webinars now, and all the things that we do.
Yeah, a question to all the panel. If you want to answer, put your hand up. Do you think that engagement and involvement destroys the stigma and the myths around Alzheimer's disease and dementia?
Very much so.
Stan?
It can do. I mean, for me, I get the point I can put across to the professionals. I'm a person. I'm not a case number or a case study.
Yeah. Joe, you've been involved for as long as, well, for quite a while.
Be careful what you say.
I am. I know I'm dancing. I'm dancing on a knife edge here. So I'll hand over to you. I mean, but it does, doesn't it? I mean, when you get people in a room with a diagnosis who can articulate an argument, and the same goes for Kerry's field, caring and social care and being responsible. It does change people's minds.
I'm not quite sure why it's taken so long to implement this way of involving us, but it's for the good. It's going to take us a long way forward. I'd like the staff at the Alzheimer's Society to really come on board and to really acknowledge that it's helpful, not just for us, which for all the reasons have been stated so far, but it's helpful for the team leaders and for every member of staff to involve us, and to, you know, both sides have got something to give.
Yeah. Matt, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think it's nice to know that Alzheimer's Society have actually got somebody living with dementia as their ambassador on the panel. So it's all positive.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Kenny made an interesting comment about embedded in culture and practice, and she's not half wrong there, Kenny, are you? I mean, I always believed that the quote from Mark Twain sort of appears to this. It's easier to fool people than convince them they're being fooled. And this is where genuine engagement and genuine involvement and genuine co-production, you can feel it, can't you? The minute it's there, you know it's happening. Where the tick box exercise it, again, you know, I got a second sense of this now. Do you find that, Kerry?
Absolutely. I've got a bit of a internal radar like you, to be honest, and I think for me it's if it's applied to everything, so no service is no service is developed, no leaflet, no staff is employed, no job description, and the saying is nothing about us without us. So nothing should happen unless it's green light for go. It's been or it's included somebody from, not even from the idea, but from conversations about the idea. So are we still not quite there yet? But you know, absolutely, it's about good practice. It's not about, shouldn't be tick box, it's culture and practice. Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. Steve Kennedy has put a comment in the text box. I do believe that religious belief should be better supported amongst every single person diagnosed with dementia. We had a long conversation in one of our meetings about that yesterday, didn't we, Kerry? This, I believe, is something that is often overlooked. You're quite correct, and to the detriment of people living with dementia. I am sure that you're all aware many people with dementia cannot tolerate crowds or large gatherings due to being unable to separate the noise entering their heads. Luckily, where I live, our local parish priest is extremely accommodating, and we call on me to deliver the blessed sacraments and pray on a one-to-one basis. This simple thing prepares me to engage each day in a better frame of mind and gives me the spirit to engage in various projects and webinars such as this. I work with Dementia Northern Ireland on an awful lot of various topics, and I'm more than happy to do so. Our motto is giving back the voice to people with dementia. Couldn't agree more. And this term has never been more appropriate than now. We are involved with many projects on equal basis. We are involved with many projects on equal basis with Ulster University and McGee College in dementia awareness. I think that sums it up, really. You know, I mean, talk is cheap, doing is harder. But we need to put that brake on things when we think they're not going, you know, when they're not being co-produced or a level of involvement. Now, last but not least, he's been waiting patiently, and it's not like him at all, is Roy Foden. Good morning,
thanks,
Roy.
Good morning to you, Nigel, and everybody on the webinar. Is it still morning? Yes, good morning. I'm 73 years of age. I'm a retired nurse for an awful lot of male nurse for an awful lot of years with the NHS and the private sector as well. I was diagnosed, I think, around about 10 years ago now with Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's disease. I live, or try to live, independently. I lost my wife 26 years ago to cancer. I do have 2 children, but they live in the south of England, a couple of 100 miles away. obviously they're involved and so on and so forth, but I do live independently at the moment on my own. I take a vast array of, ever-increasing array of medication for the Parkinson's disease, and obviously everything that goes along with that with the Lewy bodies. I want to engage with my environment, my world. I don't want the disease to remove me from it. And so many people have tried to wrap me up in cotton wool. I've even had people say to me, do you not think you would be better off in institutional care? And that got me thinking, right, I'm going to build a personal vendetta against this disease, dementia in all its 100 and odd different forms. And then as time went on, I realized there was so much stigma thrown at me. I do act inappropriate sometimes. I have visual hallucinations, audible hallucinations. I get disorientated. I act inappropriately. The medication helps, but okay, I can sit here all day popping pills and potions. But I thought, no, this is not the way forward. I've got to get involved. So like Stan, I've done many projects with the local NHS here, Liverpool University, the emergency services, police, fire and ambulance. There's been a couple of occasions years ago at the start of all this where I've ended up in the back of a police car. I've been in a custody suite, nothing horrendous. I've walked out of Sainsbury's without paying for the goods, even though I had my debit card, my credit card. Involved in research projects within commerce, the banking, and then with medical students, third or final year medical students, psychology students, the list just goes on and on and on. But that's allowed me to realize that I still have a life. I have a lot to give. I mean, the Lewy bodies is getting worse, but the choice is I sit at home and pop pills, and I'm not prepared to do that. I don't find this very easy, actually. I get jumbled up. I try to just build a personal vendetta against the disease, the way it affects me on a day-to-day life. I like to get involved face-to-face or on the internet, which we had to do during the lockdown, with other people that live the disease, live it every day. And just as importantly, the carers. I think if I had to care for somebody with dementia, I think I'd be hopeless at it, even though I'm a retired nurse. And I do wish sometimes that the knowledge that I have now with my own dementia and other people's dementias, what it's like to be a carer, if I could go back in time, I'd incorporate more of that knowledge into my nursing career. I think I was a good nurse. I hope I was, but I think I would have been a hell of a better nurse with the knowledge that I've gained. I don't know how to add to it, really. If somebody was to ask me for advice how to cope, yeah, don't sit there, because you'll just go downhill. Take the medication if you're prescribed it, but you have to get out there. And I'm sorry, I get a bit disoriented, mixed up with what I'm. If you can understand, it's not just a question of sitting there, because what is it? I can never get my head around the stigma with dementia or any other mental health problem. Why do people act differently towards you? Whereas, say I had kidney failure and I needed dialysis 3 times a week, 4 to 6 hours a pop, people can accept that, or any other physical thing. But when it comes to dementia or mental health, they seem to back off. I lost loads of friends initially when I was first diagnosed. I'm a fanatical football fan with Liverpool Football Club. I can't go anymore because I couldn't stand the environment. I used to do an awful lot of fell walking, all over the UK. I travelled all over Europe with Champions League football and so on. But all those friends I thought I had disappeared. But now I've met, so they couldn't have been really good friends, could they? The friends I've got a vast array of friends, Stan included now, that are proper friends that understand what it's like to live with dementia. So yeah, involvement. That's what my advice to anybody who's just been, I'm sorry, it's been a bit disjointed, this. That's about it, Stan, I think.
Yeah. The only thing I could add to that, unlike most of the other people who are on the panel, here in Liverpool, we don't have or not had a presence of the Alzheimer's Society for a number of years. We've now got somebody who stands in and advises, but it's not like the support that the rest of you get. So yeah, we've had to fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
I think we've both been very fortunate. We've done it with the right people. You know, certainly if you're flying by the seat of your pants, you've got to have support. Other than that,
I'm very, very grateful for the professionals, the psychiatrists, the consultant clinical psychologists, my clinical, CPN, community psychiatric nurse, of all of the support that's been given to me from that side of the fence. They've helped me beyond belief. So I have to congratulate Merseycare NHS Trust for that brilliantly well. Yeah, that's about it now, I think. I'm sorry, it gets very disjointed in my brain. I can't.
Right. You know, not at all. You've got loads and loads of positive comments in the chat box here.
Well,
yeah, it's all we should.
I'd love people to just, why do they differentiate between a physical disease and dementia, or if it's included in mental health, I get mixed up. What the hell is the difference? It's a disease. Why can't people understand it? Is it because I act inappropriate sometimes? I don't know. But it upsets me sometimes, it does.
Yeah. Stan.
Why can't people understand?
Just on that point, the reason why the stigma, most of the other diseases that we're involved with, there is a cure or there are remedies for. But Alzheimer's or dementia, mental illness, or whatever you want to call it, there is not a cure. And this is the fear that people have got.
Yes, but I'm still the same bloody person. That's what I can't get my head around.
Yeah.
Why do people treat me differently? Why? Because what is the bloody difference between a physical disease or a mental health disease? I don't know whether it's included in dementia. I can never make my mind up with that. I get so many different comments about it.
There's no easy answer, Roy, but it's all down to education and destigmatizing.
Lack of knowledge.
Yeah. There's a quote which I often use from a lady called Maya Angelou, who was an American poet and author. And what she said was, people may forget your name. People may forget where you're from. People may forget what you've done, but people will never forget the way you made them feel. And I think that's everything that you brought up in this. And what you made me feel is that all the work we do in co-production and in engagement and it is well worth it when you hear the testimonies from people who have taken time.
This is why I'm amazed every Saturday when we go on the Three Nations, because it's like the real world of dementia, because we've got 15, 20 people sometimes all living with different types of dementias and all their problems. This is the real world, not the bloody textbook.
Yeah.
The real world.
Yeah. Mark, you got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Just going back onto what Roy was saying, I think of it slightly differently. I have gained friends since my diagnosis.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the friends I have gained have been real friends,
Yes.
like I see here on the screen today.
Yes.
And I believe that the connection that we have is that dementia. That's all, nothing else. And that has made us connect in a manner that we've got friends for life.
Yeah.
We trust each other, and we know that we care about each other. And when we have a get together, you know, it's not just for me. I am there for everybody else, and everybody else is there for me. So peer sport tops it. You know, we were talking about technology. Sorry, Roy. Technology, we mastered it. We have taken to Zoom and Teams, and there are people with dementia who couldn't actually use the technology. And we in Stoke-on-Trent went a step further, and we started writing to each other to keep in touch and socially connected. And I think that is a strong bond that we have, and that has been the backbone to our recovery. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, last word.
Just a quickie. Both Stan and myself have done many times groups of third-year medical students. They are going to, in a further 2 years, be let loose, and they would talk to the psychiatrists, the CPNs in the morning, and we get a couple of hours with them in the afternoon. There'd be 15 or 20 of them, even fifth-year medical students. And at the end, you know, we'd say to them, look, ask anything, don't hold back. You're 3/4 qualified or nearly qualified at 5th year. Ask questions, blank. And I think, Christ almighty, they're going to be let loose in 2 years or the end of the 5th year as doctors. You know, and they were just mostly disinterested, Stan, weren't they? Mostly. Yeah. But when you'd say to them, you get one or two would come up to us and chat before we broke up the event. You'd get one or two of them. Oh, I don't know. I've lost the track. Sorry again. Sorry.
I think what Roy's getting to is the fact that we would all end the session by asking them who is prepared to go into either the field of psychology or psychiatry.
Psychiatry, they're not.
Said, we've
psychiatry,
done, yeah, we've done hundreds of these people. And we've only ever had 3 people say yes. And they were from the Asian community.
Yeah, it's true.
Gentlemen,
When we'd say to them, well, where are you going on your next placement? Oh, we're going to Alder Hey Children's Hospital for 3 or 4 months. Well, how long have you done in mental health? Oh, well, today. Why is it the pits? Why is it the bottom of the placements is beyond me? I'm going off the thing, I know, but they are our future for the NHS.
Gentlemen, I've got to bring it to a close. You've got 2 minutes left.
Sorry.
It's all right, no worries. Can I thank all the panelists? It's been emotional, I mean, and it's been real. And I hope the people who tuned into this this morning and overall something for it. For you, Roy, a gentleman called Mark Hughes Short, who runs the sports sector for making it accessible for people affected by dementia as possible. I would love to find out more about your passion for Liverpool FC. So perhaps you could link up together. We'll sort that out.
I could go on a year about that for you.
Yes, I'm sure you will. Can I thank again thank all the panelists? It's been fantastic. Thank everybody that's tuned in, all our participants there. We're about to leave now, and there'll be details of our next webinar sent to you shortly for the membership, and keep your eye on Twitter and all the rest of it, because that's where all the information goes. So if all the participants could log off now, we'd be grateful, and those that can and the panelists can stay behind and we do a quick mopping up. Thank you very much and have a great day, everybody. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
For your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.